What up? All right, midnight as usual. Tuesday slate. It's going to be a big one, guys. Tuesdays are usually pretty crazy. Haven't looked at the games yet. Time to update the whiteboard, though. So the stream parlay we came up to last night was Houston money line and Virginia Tech plus 3.5. I believe VTech lost by 10. Gave up a 12-1 run at the end of the game. Is that right? It was tied with like just a couple minutes left. So unfortunately, VTech at home didn't get there. So we got to update the whiteboard. Did we lock in Virginia Tech? I'm forgetting last stream. I can replay it real quick here on my phone. Did we have any locks last night? Was Virginia Tech a lock? Because if that's the case, then we lost that too. Did we lock in Virginia Tech? Let's see. Scrolling through. I see Virginia Tech on our parlay with Houston. I don't see them as a lock. I don't know. Let me know in the comments, guys. If we did lock in Virginia Tech, but let's update the whiteboard. Came up short in the parlay. Gotta go red. All right, so the parlays fall to 1 and 2. Keep in mind, guys, this is just for fun. My more serious bets, of course, you can find by becoming a member here on YouTube. But let's go ahead and let's pull up the slate and let's start. What did I just do? Hold up. My bad. All right, let's get to it. Tuesday, January 30th. Wow, already January 30th, guys. The March Madness tournament is going to be here soon. It's going to be here so fast. Game number 1 is a 6:30 game, and it's a pretty big one. South Carolina is a 14.5 point underdog at number 5 Tennessee. What am I missing? Is there an injury here? Someone's got to be injured on South Carolina. Let me look it up. South Carolina injury report. South Carolina basketball injury report. Here we go. SEC men's injury report. Arkansas, Florida, Kentucky. Nope, we're looking for South Carolina. So it says Deba and Stute are out. But none of that is recent. On the 18th, shoulder injury to Miles. Expected to miss 2 to 3 weeks. I don't think he played the 18th. Today's the 30th. 12 days. I don't think that goes back to the Kentucky game, does it? Let me go back to the Kentucky game just to double check. I don't think he was in that one. I watched every minute. That was just last week. That was on the 23rd. So he wasn't in that game. So why is the spread so big? 14.5. This seems a little bit crazy. South Carolina is getting 14.5 points at Tennessee. 14.5. That seems like a lot. Tennessee's going to win the game. 14.5. 14.5. I think it's one of those games where you just have to think like an odds maker. You got to think like an odds maker. I don't think we can take the points. I think we got to lay them at home with Tennessee here. Kind of neutral on that one, guys. Next game, another monster one. Probably the biggest of the night. I haven't scrolled through these games, so I'm not sure what else is on the slate, but it's 7 o'clock Eastern time. Texas Tech, number 15 in the country now, is it number 25 TCU, and they're getting 4.5. Well, they were getting, 3.5 at Oklahoma, and they won outright. Oklahoma's better than TCU, in my opinion, or at least comparable, and Texas Tech, man, I watched every single minute of that Oklahoma game. This team's good. Pop Isaacs, they got size. They got a 7-footer in Washington. They can rebound. They play good defense. Texas Tech, man, getting 4.5. Now, TCU is going to be a little bit desperate here. They've had some tough losses. They're coming off that triple overtime win, though, correct? Over Baylor? TCU basketball. Pretty sure they're coming off that Baylor game. Yeah, triple overtime. 105, 102 win over Baylor at Baylor. I think this overvalues them coming into this game. I really think it does. I think TCU's overvalued here. I mean, you could say it gives them confidence. I'm gonna take 4.5 with Texas Tech. I'm tempted to lock this one up too. I can't do it because it's a road game. In general, college basketball, I don't care what the number next to a team is. I don't care what the rankings are. I don't care how good someone is. You could look at a team's statistics, and they could be significantly better than their opponent. In a away game, you can't do it. I lean Texas Tech getting 4.5. I think if TCU wins, it's by the skin of their teeth. Last shot type of thing. I'm going to take the points with Texas Tech. I can't lock this one up, though. Next game. North Carolina minus 9.5 at Georgia Tech. Well, North Carolina has a very big game on deck. This is a look-ahead spot. They got Duke on deck. Georgia Tech beat Clemson at Clemson. Clemson almost just beat Duke at Duke. Home game for Georgia Tech with a big opponent in town. Catching 9.5. UNC will find a way to pull this thing out. I think this is too many points. I think I'm tempted to add this to the locks. Let's let me edit this. Locks. I think we're going to do it. Georgia Tech plus 9.5. That's just too many. First lock of the night, Georgia Tech catching 9.5 at home against the Tar Heels. It's going to be a sweat. I mean, North Carolina is going to win this game comfortably, but by comfortably, I think by 6 or 7 with some free throws at the end of the game to push them over the hump. 9.5? Look ahead spot? Duke the next game? I don't know. I don't think they're going to be as focused as they need to be to cover 9.5 on the road. It's a road game in college basketball in the ACC. Georgia Tech has a couple shooters. Give me Georgia Tech plus the 9.5. Next couple games, not familiar with. Bowling Green, Ball State, Eastern Michigan, Toledo. GW at Dayton. Now, I gave out Richmond. Told you guys Richmond was a lock over Dayton. They pulled off the upset. So we got Dayton kind of reset now. Probably playing pretty sharp in this one. Spread's 12.5. Pretty heavy spread, but they're at home. I got to lean Dayton, laying the points. Next game, Illinois at Ohio State. Illinois minus 2.5 at Ohio State. Number 14, Illinois at Ohio State, only a 2.5 point favorite. I'll be the first to tell you guys that I will blindly bet home teams that are not ranked against road ranked teams. When the line looks suspect, I can't do it here. I went to West Virginia. I watch all the West Virginia games. They're terrible. West Virginia is bad. I watched the game, a Saturday game. West Virginia at Ohio State, just like here. And they almost won. Probably, you would argue, woulda, coulda, shoulda won. Illinois is significantly better than West Virginia. I think this line is just too short. Maybe it's Ohio. Maybe it's the name. Maybe they've been okay lately. They've been competitive. This is almost like the cardinal sin. You cannot be laying points with big ranked teams on the road against non-ranked teams, but this is a spot I just have to. Illinois is only minus 2.5. That's just too short. They're just so significantly better, and I will always. I've done it all year. I've done it many times. So many times this year, I've said, you know what? I'm throwing everything out the door. All the game analysis, all the stats, everything. I will blindly bet non-ranked college basketball teams at home versus road ranked teams. It's just a college basketball formula. If you keep your unit size the same and you bet every single one of them, they cash. I can't do it here. I got to go Illinois. I'm not good enough to lock this one up, but next game, Iowa, Indiana. Iowa, Indiana. I think Indiana's going to get a win here. Indiana at home. Iowa's got that home court advantage significant. Iowa's better. Iowa's a better team. Iowa is a better basketball team than Indiana, but this is just a spot where you got to take Indiana. Let me double check the last 3 Indiana games. Indiana basketball. Hoosiers have a good home court as well. Really, really good. Coming off a tough loss to Illinois. Coming off a tough loss at Wisconsin. Couldn't get by Purdue at home. They're on a 3-game losing streak. This is an absolute lock. I'm adding this. Let me update the banner. This is an absolute lock. Let me add it. Indiana. The spread's 1.5. There's no need to mess with that. The money line is -104. So Indiana money line. Let me save that and let me put it back on the screen. There's lock number 2. Indiana money line. They're going to beat Iowa tomorrow. They're going to beat Iowa. Northern Illinois at Central Michigan. Not really an opinion. I'd actually lean Northern Illinois catching 4.5 points, but it's a road game in college basketball. I can't do it. Here's a good Big East matchup. Marquette on the road at Villanova. So here's what I just talked about. Blindly betting. I don't even care what the offensive efficiency ratings are, the free throw. I don't care. Everything goes out the window. Number 9, Marquette. Number 9 in the country, Marquette, on the road against Villanova, and they're an underdog. That's all you need to know. Villanova's winning this game. Villanova, lock it up. This is an absolute lock. This is an absolute lock. I'm adding it to the banner. Let me edit it. We are adding in Villanova also on the money line. Same thing as before. 1.5 point spread. I'm not messing with it. The money line's -122. No need to have that point involved. Villanova tomorrow will knock off Marquette. So we're doing pretty good today. We got 3 locks so far. I like this slate. This is nice. Miami of Ohio at Kent State. No, I have no opinion on that. Kent State's been a little better as of late. I can't lay 7.5 points. Illinois State, Murray State, again, same thing. Can't do it. Oklahoma, K-State. This one's interesting. Oklahoma, the Sooners, back-to-back home court losses. That's pathetic. This is a game you just can't touch. I would like to back Oklahoma again. It's hard to think a team with the talent of Oklahoma is going to lose this many games in a row, but it's an away game in the Big 12, and that's just hard to win. Kansas State, another team that's underachieved. It's hard to believe Oklahoma's going to lose again. I think they're going to lose again. They lost 2 home court games. You lost back-to-back games on your home floor. Now you're supposed to beat Kansas State on the road. Nah, give me Kansas State here. I'm tempted to even lock this. I'm locking this one up. I'm adding it. It's just a road conference game. I'm not doing it. I hate doing this because Oklahoma is off back-to-back losses. That's a really good team. You don't want to be betting teams that are due for a win. You also don't want to be betting on teams that have won way too many games in a row, but I have to take KSU here. I got to take them. Jerome Tang, he's going to have his team ready to go here. The spread's 2.5. The money line's not the greatest payout. It's -146, but I don't care. I'm not laying 2.5 against a hungry Oklahoma Sooner team, but I will take Kansas State here. Oklahoma about to lose 3 games in a row. Hard to believe, but they couldn't get it done on their home court twice in a row. I'm not taking them on the road. They barely got by a team like Cincinnati on the road. Kansas State. What was Kansas State's last result? I think it was that game where their coach got a tech. Really frustrating game for them. Pretty sure I watched it. Yeah, it was the Houston. I don't think it was a Houston game. I think the last game that I watched was the Iowa State game. But they're off 2 really, really hard, really, really difficult. You could argue the two most difficult home courts that you have to travel to. They went to Iowa State, hung in there pretty good. I remember catching that game. I was at the gym and I watched the end of it on the TV. The final score was an 11-point margin. The game was actually a lot closer than that. So they hung in there at Iowa State. They had to go to Houston. That's just brutal. But they have a home court win over Baylor. They went on the road and beat a team like West Virginia. They have a home court win over UCF. This is an absolute lock. Kansas State is in Kansas State. Kansas State tomorrow is an absolute lock. And I love taking teams that need a rebound. Kansas State's going to get the job done. Kansas State on the money line is probably my favorite lock yet. Let's keep going, though. St. Louis, Loyola, Chicago. Just seems like a lot of points. 9.5. 9.5. It is a public underdog, though. People are on St. Louis taking the points. Loyola, Chicago probably gets the win here. Home court. Do they cover 9.5? I don't know, and I have no interest. Trying to stick to Power 5 the best I can. Mississippi State and Ole Miss is an 8:30 game. The spread is 1.5. Boy, heavy betting early on Ole Miss at home. I lean the other way. I think Mississippi State probably wins this game, but I have no opinion. I'm neutral. Spread's 1.5. Maybe whoever has the ball last wins the game type thing. Maybe it's an overtime type game. Maybe look at the over at 137.5. Not sure about that one. I like Mississippi State much better at home. We actually gave them out in our locks. We gave out Mississippi State, did we not? Yeah, right here. This was a couple streams ago. This was a good stream too, guys. We went 4-2 on this stream. This was for Saturday. These were games that went off on Saturday. We took Mississippi State plus 2.5 over Auburn, if I can remember correctly. Yo, what up, Aiden? Just seeing you come into the chat, man. Clemson by 20 plus. Nova. Clemson by 30 plus. Did we already go over Clemson? Is Clemson playing tomorrow? Did I miss that? I don't know. We didn't go over that yet. Maybe we'll get to it here. I'm scrolling down. I'm sure we'll get to it, man. But yeah, I like your comment with Nova, man. Nova's going to beat Marquette tomorrow. So yeah, I lean, I guess, I don't know. I guess I lean Mississippi State in that last game. Definitely not a lock. Far from it. Another Big 12 game, Oklahoma State at Kansas. This is just really tough for Oklahoma State. Really, really hard. Situationally, this is so bad for Oklahoma State. And I'm not a Kansas hater, but I'm a realist. And this is not a Bill Self team. There's no depth. Hunter Dickinson is soft. This is not a good team. Kansas, despite maybe being a 2 seed in the tournament, Kansas basketball will not make the Sweet 16. You can absolutely count on Kansas being one of the high seeds in the tournament being upset. They have no depth. They go into their shell. McCullough's good. I've always liked McCullough, even when he was at Texas Tech. They got that young kid who's kind of like a young Grady Dick, but I don't like Kansas. I don't think they're a good team, and it disgusts me to lay 16.5 points with the Jayhawks. But Oklahoma State just got their first conference win. Tight game, at home, barely got by West Virginia. And now they're on the road against Kansas. Kansas coming off a loss at Iowa State. This could really what do we do here? This is a spot where Kansas could win by 30. But 16.5 is a lot of points for a team I genuinely believe is not a top. I'm not going to get out of control here, but they should be ranked somewhere around 18, 17, 18. Kansas is not top 10. They're not top 15. They're top 20, but they have no depth, and I think Hunter Dickinson is very soft. Bill Self is a good coach. They should be able to figure it out. Their attitude going into this game is going to be really, really good. They should be sharp. If their offense is clicking, they're going to cover this number. I just hate doing it. Aiden says Kansas 9-1 ATS off a loss. Yes, they are. But what was their last game where they were off of a loss? It was a home game against Cincinnati. I gave that out on TikTok, free play on Cincinnati. Kansas got the job done barely, but did not cover. So you would think in this spot that they would go back to the trend, right? So it was a 9-0 trend. There was one game against Cincy to where it didn't come through. Now I think it's probably time we hop back on that trend. Not only is it a Kansas off a loss spot, but it's an Oklahoma State team who finally got the monkey off their back. They're probably happy that they just got a conference win out of the way. People can stop worrying about them like losing every single game. They could get absolutely flattened in this game. I lean Kansas. It's a public play though. Keep in mind the money's on Kansas. But I lean Kansas here, laying a big number. Not gonna lie, I'm a big basketball fan. It's harder for me to learn. Hold on, my bad, bro. Let me put this up. Not gonna lie, I'm a big basketball fan. It's harder for me to learn, but I have to adapt. Yeah. Now here's another thing I want you guys to realize, that this spring, the XFL and whatever the other league was joined, and now they're the UFL, and that will start March 30th. And I think it's going to be one of the most profitable sports to wager on. I'm going to be on it like a hawk. I'm going to watch every team, and I'm going to actually be more interested in this than the NFL, because in my opinion, you get a perfect storm. And sorry to go on a tangent here. This is a basketball stream. We'll get back to the games in a second, but this is very important. I think this is worth your time to hear this. In my opinion, the UFL will fall exactly in between college football and the NFL. So I don't think there's the money in the UFL is not high enough to where sometimes we get those weird games where it truly does feel like outside influence kind of gave us a predetermined result. But I think the players in the UFL are better than college, so you don't quite have the volatility that you have betting on young college kids. So I think it's a sweet spot. I think it's right in between. It's good, talented teams, but there's not enough money. There's not enough fame to where you get like weird voodoo things, weird like games where the players just act like, oh, I'm rich. I'm just not feeling playing hard today. The players will play as hard as the college kids do, but they're a little bit better. So it'll be a little more predictable. I think it's a wonderful opportunity. You can absolutely bet on the UFL. You bet you can bet on it. You can bet on the CFL. You can bet on the Canada League. I guarantee you we'll be able to bet the UFL in the spring, and I'm going to figure out a way to do it, and I'll be sure to get that over to you guys. Let's get back to the games, though, here, guys. As the closer we get to March 30th, I'll have some videos coming out. San Diego State, Colorado State. This one's really tough for me. Really, really tough for me. I feel like San Diego State is the team. They're the team that ends certain teams' winning streaks. Colorado State, I believe, is due for a pretty good home performance here. The spread is short. It's 1.5. I'm leaning Colorado State here on the money line, but I'm not terribly interested, and I've only watched one full game of Colorado State this year. I'm just not familiar enough with those two teams to give a valid opinion. I'm going to have to pass on that. Miami, NC State. I like Miami here as a dog. 4.5-point dog. They were a dog at Pitt. I think I gave them out as a premium play for members over Pittsburgh. No, it was a home game. They were up 11 at halftime. They were only laying 5.5, and they collapsed in the second half at home and let a Pitt team, a pretty good Pitt team, underrated actually. Pitt's not too bad, but they let a Pitt team come back and they didn't cover by a point. I think I'm going back to them here. NC State, overrated. They have a couple good wins mixed in. I don't buy it. I like Miami. It's a good team. They're much better at home, but 4.5 is too much. It's too much, and I'm tempted to lock this in. I'm not going to do it because it's a road game. We got to do our best to not lock in road college basketball teams. But I do lean Miami to cover 4.5. Maybe they don't quite get the win here. I think they cover 4.5. This could be a 7-point game. 1-3 at the buzzer covers for you. Could be looking at something like that. Louisville, Clemson. Well, Clemson's off that really tough game. Clemson went to Duke. Most people would argue should have won the game. Some people say it's bogus what happened at the end of the game. You can look it up for yourself. You can look up the replays at the end of the game. Clemson, I'm not sure about because I also watched the game at home where Clemson blew a huge lead and lost in double overtime. Maybe it was triple. I think double overtime to Georgia Tech. And that just really makes me hesitant to ever back them again. But they're talented. Joe Girard, Hall. They got some good shooters. They got some good size. Louisville stinks. 15.5, though. Do they take out their frustration from the Duke game, or was the Duke game kind of deflating? I think that's what we're kind of looking at here. It's kind of a gamble on Clemson's attitude, and you can't bet Louisville. If you're not comfortable laying the points with Clemson here, you simply don't bet this game. It's Clemson or pass for me. Next game, San Jose State, Utah State. San Jose, Utah State. I mean, I don't know. San Jose State, Utah State. Utah State's a public play. Laying 12.5 at home. I'm just not interested in this game. I'm going to pass and go to the next one. Michigan, Michigan State. This is a smash spot for Michigan State, no? I mean, it's a rivalry. I would like to be able to, it's probably going to take too long. I wish I had the trends on my phone. I go over the slate for the first time in these live streams, so this is kind of my initial reaction. Michigan State off a tough loss at Wisconsin. Michigan State's last home game, a 10-point win over Minnesota. The game prior to that, they almost won by 20 over a Rutgers team. They got some tough losses mixed in. Lost by 3 at Illinois. They got by Maryland on the road by 2. Beat a team like Baylor at home by 24. Michigan. Michigan stinks. Michigan's not a good ball club. Is a rivalry enough to keep this close? I'm concerned that Michigan has lost too many games to want to lay a big number with Michigan State here. But Michigan State might want to pound their rival. You can't take Michigan because if you bet Michigan and Michigan doesn't come through, it's like, what was that? That was beyond dumb. Taking a gamble, just hoping they can, because we know Michigan State's going to win. So are we really going to risk? Are we just going to go like that and hope this Michigan team covers? I don't think you can. It's a public play, though. The whole world's going to be on the Spartans here. The whole freaking world. 11.5. Is that slightly overvalued because it's so public? Michigan State minus 11.5. God, I would love it if it was a 7.5, an 8.5, 11.5. Does Michigan have enough to cover 11.5? I think it's a game where Michigan's the right side. It's just simply a line that has zero value. It's the big public home team. I don't know. I'm going to have to pass on this game. I would lean Michigan State. You have to. But you never know. That could be the game that gets everyone tomorrow. Well, actually, no. All the casuals are going to get destroyed on Marquette. Everybody's going to bet Marquette. Oh, wow. It's only a 1-point spread. I'll take Marquette. They're top 10. Nope. Villanova tomorrow. Love Villanova. Seton Hall, DePaul, 10.5-point spread. I don't know, man. DePaul's so bad. Has Seton Hall overachieved? What do we think? Has Seton Hall overachieved a little bit? How many games has DePaul lost? I got to look it up. Because this is important. I don't like betting into losing streaks. They lost to Creighton. They lost to Marquette. They lost to Butler. They lost to Providence. They lost to Villanova. They lost to Creighton again. They lost to Georgetown, UConn. Their last game, you go back to December 30th. You got to go back to last year. They beat Chicago State. Is this too many losses in a row? I don't want to lay a big amount of points against a team that should be beyond desperate. I just don't like the idea of it. Seton Hall is a great team. They could absolutely stomp DePaul. It's still a road game in college basketball. I don't care what anyone says, and this is why this sport is one of the harder sports to be able to predict consistently. It's a road game, and they are off 3 losses. They lost to Creighton in overtime. Then they lost to Providence. Gave out Providence on TikTok. Hopefully you saw that, guys. And then Marquette came up short at Marquette. So Seton Hall off 3 losses. Are they due to take out some anger on a team? DePaul's a perfect team for that. But then does it just make it too easy? You would think that's just too easy. You get a Seton Hall team off a bunch of losses due to just kill someone, and then they get a crappy DePaul team. I don't know. I think it's a spot where Seton Hall feels like the right side. Everything leans that way. You place your bet on them, and they win by like 9. They win by 9, and you go, well, that's college basketball. I'm going to pass on the game. To your best of your ability, you just can't take to the best of your, and you have to do it here and there, but you just try your very best in college basketball, especially in conference play, even if it's the best conference team versus the worst. You just can't be touching away teams. You can't do it as best you can. I got to pass on that. Loyola Marymount at Gonzaga. I think I like Gonzaga here. It's a huge number, but man, that game against, what was it, San Francisco? Against Pacific. So the last game at home, San Francisco is very competitive. They won by 5, but San Francisco is a very good team. They're even better than Santa Clara. But Gonzaga was totally asleep last game against Pacific. I think they were favored 24.5, and this reiterates my my suggestion of you have to avoid road teams at all costs. They go on the road to Pacific, favored damn near 30 points, and had to pull the game out at the end. Like, really had a scratch and claw. They won the game by 9, but man, they're lucky to get out of there with a win. I think at home, this is a good bounce back spot. Loyola Marymount is not good. Gonzaga should run away with this one. I'm not going to lay it because the points are too much. 16.5 is too much, but I'm going to lean that way. I'm going to lean Gonzaga. Fresno State at UNLV. I think you lean the home team here, but 7.5 is just screaming for a Fresno cover. Not too familiar with both of those teams. I'm not really sure. So what are we at? How many locks we got? 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're up to 4 locks. We got to create our live stream as well. Our live stream parlay came up short last night. Virginia Tech didn't get it done. Houston got it done against Texas, but we come up short. So I updated the board. You can see it turn from green to red. We're now in the red for our live stream parlays. But the live stream parlays are just in good fun. The locks, a little bit more serious. And then my picks I give out to members, way more serious. I'm betting $100 a pop on those. So if you guys are interested in what I really decide for tomorrow, consider becoming a member. It's $30. Up to you guys. South Carolina, Tennessee. Texas Tech, TCU. Texas Tech, TCU. Texas Tech, TCU to me feels like it feels like the ultimate trap game tomorrow. I love Texas Tech. They're really good. I've watched a lot of their basketball. I've watched a lot of TCU. TCU off of a big Baylor overtime, triple overtime win at home. Slightly underachieving team with good experienced players. Texas Tech is the definition of a public underdog. They're catching 4.5 and they're 15 in the country. I think the odds makers are telling us all we need to know. I think for our live stream parlay, I think we put TCU money line in. That line just is screaming TCU's the right side. Everybody in the world is going to look at that and think, are you kidding me? Texas Tech? I can actually take 4.5 points in my back pocket with the better team. I don't know. I think that tells you, I think you got to think like a bookmaker. They're a heavy public underdog. Heavy public underdog. Probably 3/4 of the money right now is on Texas Tech. Maybe the bookmakers just messed up here, and maybe Texas Tech wins the game outright. I think we go TCU money line with our first part of this parlay. I think we do it. Let me pull that up. Let me go ahead and edit this, and we'll start building our live stream parlay. Do we risk it though at TCU? Is there better spots on here? I think we do it. I think we trust the odds makers. You just got to think like an odds maker sometimes. Sometimes things can't make sense. You take the things that totally make sense and you get screwed. Texas Tech is a better team. They're better. They just won on the road at Oklahoma. That's debatably a harder task than winning on the road at TCU. Why is the spread 4.5? I'm going to go ahead and look at TCU on the money line here. So TCU money line. Let me add that in. We'll keep searching for a couple more here. We'll build this parlay out. Dayton, we're going to put Dayton in. We are going to Kansas, no value with Kansas. Too big of a favorite. They're going to win for sure. No value with Clemson. Too big of a spread. Great spot for them. Michigan State. Huge public play, though. Monster public play. Imagine if Michigan beats Michigan State. That's the type of shit that makes people go crazy. Significantly better than Michigan, but man, you just never know. It's a rivalry game. You should avoid rivalry games at all costs. I think we skip it. You truly just never know. Looking for one more spot here. One more spot. Tempted to go Seton Hall, add in Seton Hall money line, but again, road team against a DePaul team that has lost just so many games. You never know when you get an inspired effort from the home team. Boy, a lot of these lines are short. Oklahoma, Kansas State, 2.5 point spread. Marquette, Villanova, 1.5 point spread. Iowa, Indiana, 1. Illinois at Ohio State, 2.5. A lot of tight games tomorrow, guys. A lot of tight games. Tomorrow's a day where you could lose your ass if a couple balls don't bounce the right way on a lot of those games. TCU money line. Dayton money line. Need one more. The odds on that's -154. -154. So $100 on that would be a $65 win. Is that acceptable for the live stream parlay? Odds of -154. I just don't love anything else. I just don't feel like forcing some of these other spots. You could easily just say, oh, well, just take North Carolina on the money line. They'll get the job done. They're way better than Georgia Tech. They're number 3 in the country. They're not going to lose. Yeah, heard that before. Seen that movie 100 times. Tennessee at home. Throw Tennessee at home. South Carolina's a good team, though. I can't trust that either. We're just gonna have to leave it, guys. So the live stream tonight, it's just gonna not be a big payout this time. But you know what? That's fine sometimes. So TCU money line and Dayton money line, it's -154 on FanDuel right now. Let me put it up on the screen. That'll be our live stream parlay for tonight. The rest of the stuff is you just have to straight bet the rest of the stuff individually. I'm not willing to put any more of these into the parlay. I just can't do it. Tell you what though, out of this whole slate, there's 2 spots I already am going to lock in myself as soon as I end the stream tonight, and I'm going to give out to members as soon as this ends. Drop my phone. So hey, if you're watching this and you're a member, keep those notifications on. At some point tonight, I'll get a video out for you guys and get some official picks out for tomorrow's Tuesday. Been doing good on Tuesdays, man. I like Tuesday. I like Wednesdays and I like Saturdays for college hoops. So really excited about that. And TCU was hot. Yeah, man. Exactly. You know what? Sometimes it's that simple. And man, I really like that Texas Tech team. I really do. I watched every minute of so many of their games this year. I'm familiar with so many of their players from the past, coaching staff. I've watched that TCU team struggle. They had a comeback. I live bet them against Oklahoma State. They barely got by Oklahoma State. They're favored 4.5 for a reason. They're going to get the job done tomorrow. Maybe they don't quite cover that 4.5. Late shot by Texas Tech. Texas Tech is a scrappy team. They'll probably hang in there, but I like TCU to find a way to win. They found a way to win at Baylor. Now they're at home. Yeah, give me TCU. Give me Dayton minus 154. Not the world's greatest payout, but I like this. This is going to hit, guys. I think this is going to hit. I like this one. And just to remind you guys of the locks that we came up, what do we have? 4 of them. Let me go back here and put it back on the screen. Don't tell me I lost this stuff. Did I lose it? You're kidding me. No, right here. My bad. Sorry about that, guys. So we came up with 4 locks as well. Keep in mind, these are this is like a 5 out of 10 serious, right? The live stream parlay is like a 2 out of 10 serious. Don't take this stuff to heart. My best stuff is saved for select people. So take it with a grain of salt. But hey, we've been doing well. We're sitting at 4-3 for our lock. So over 500. Good chance if you take all those 4 for like $5 just for fun, probably cashed at least maybe 3 of them. Maybe we'll go 3-1. See what happens, guys. Of course, this is a daily thing moving forward. So we're going to see you guys hopefully tomorrow night at midnight. And we'll come up with some stuff for Wednesday. Hopefully you guys drop a like on the stream before you exit out of the video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. And I'll see you in the next video.